Joining us today in our WTMY Artist Spotlight. Great to welcome back a woman who's been with us a few times before. Great to have her join us today. She'll be here in Florida coming up on December 20th over at the great Fontainebleau Hotel doing a show, and we're going to try and get her back here in Sarasota real soon on her busy schedule, but she's the queen of cool herself, Deana Martin, joining us by telephone tonight. And Deana, I know we chatted a little bit out in Vegas when we saw you in September, but great to have you on the radio again. How have you been?
Thank you. I have been fantastic. Yes, very, very busy, but it's always so nice to talk to you. You know, it really is.
And then out in Vegas in September when you were out there at the South Point. I'd never been there before to the South Point. That was a fun weekend. You did a couple of shows out there with your great quintet, and that was a fun weekend to be out there, even though it was hot.
It was hot, wasn't it? It was hot, but for me, when I'm in Vegas, I never go outside. Only, you get up, you go work out, and then you go have something to eat, and you get ready for the show, and it's always air conditioning and actually freezing, but that's okay. It's the way I like it. I love going to Las Vegas and doing those shows, but I am so excited about the Fontainebleau in Miami.
That's one of the places that the Rat Pack, your dad, Frank, Sammy, and all those guys, that was one of their, I guess, maybe alternate places that they played a lot, Vegas and the Fontainebleau in Miami. Those were the two spots, right?
Yes, they did. And so for me, it's such a pleasure and a dream come true because I've been hearing about the Fontainebleau, my whole life. And then when this came up, and I thought, we want to do that. It's just an exciting time for me to be able to have a big band at the Fontainebleau, just like Dad and Uncle Frank and Uncle Sammy, and it's going to be they're putting together some great packages, so I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, that's good. I checked the website on that. It's the Fontainebleau has some great. I guess it's kind of a new club they put there, or at least new since I've been over there, right? That you're playing in. Yes,
and Fontainebleau. They do I think they call it Blue something.
The Blue, right.
The Blue at the Fontainebleau, and it's they have some really great acts that are there, and I think it should be a fabulous weekend. And of course, it's a few days before Christmas. We're not going to be doing Christmas songs because people are kind of tired of them by then. but we'll be doing all the great tunes, and there's a wonderful singer, Michael Martucci, who
I saw that other name on there. Yeah, he sings kind of like the Rat Pack kind of songs as well, doesn't he?
Yes, exactly. So it will be just a terrific show, and of course, my show. We have all the great arrangements and wonderful music, and of course a lot of humor, which is important because that's what the guys did. All of our pallies. So that should be a wonderful, wonderful time, and I hope people get dressed up and come see the show.
That's on December 20th. That's a Saturday night, so you can check out. Just go to DeanaMartin.com. You get some of the details there for that show. I was at the Fontainebleau. I was only very little kid at 1970s, the last time I was there. So I haven't been there in a while, but I know that was one of the famous places. I remember then they had a bowling alley, they had an ice rink. That place had everything.
They even had an ice rink?
When I was a kid, they had an ice rink. My dad, we actually went there for a convention, and we stayed there, and we were there during the summer, and there was an ice rink in there, a little one. You could ice skate, a bowling alley, and a huge swimming pool. But I remember how big the place was.
That's terrific. And I have wonderful, I think they're like Polaroid or maybe from a Brownie camera, pictures of my dad out, out on the beach, and so it's going to be a thrill for me to be there and sing these songs.
Yeah, Miami was, like we said, really a showbiz hotbed. Of course, Jackie Gleason did a show there for a good portion of the 1960s, and of course your dad and Frank and all the guys would play the different hotels there. So that really was almost like the Strip in Vegas at that point, wasn't it, in the 60s?
Yes, it really was. And I have some fabulous home movies of Dad with I think it's Tony Curtis and Lucille Ball, all in Miami. And it's it's really fun to have these old home movies.
Oh,
and they look really old, but I don't know. For me to be able to do this is, of course, just very, very exciting.
Now, you played Miami area before, but this is the first time you played the Fontainebleau, huh?
Well, this will be the first time for the Fontainebleau, and what's really terrific is, all of my albums with those great arrangements that Charlie Colello wrote, we recorded the music in Miami.
That's right. You said you recorded over there, yeah.
Yes, and so the same musicians that played on my albums will be playing with me at the Fontainebleau. So that'll be super special because they know my music, and of course they're the top musicians, and we're all looking forward to it. So we actually talked to Mike Brignola, who is also my orchestra was contractor.
Right.
So he said, "Well, I'm going to go get all the guys." I said, "Let's get the guys together and just have a swinging big band, wonderful show." And they all said yes, and of course Rick Creevy, who is my musical director, he played on all of my albums. So it's going to be so much fun to get the guys back together and play this music.
I met Rick out at the South Point after the little after party we had up in the suite. Nice guy. I think he lives over in Palm Beach area, a little bit north of Miami.
Yes, he's in Boca, and we just talked today. We trying to figure out what songs we're going to do up at the Seneca. I'm on my way. Not next week. I think it's December 7th or 8th or something. I'm off to the Seneca Casino in. What is
Niagara
it?
Falls.
It's in Niagara Falls. I'm a little worried about flying in because we're going into Buffalo.
Yeah, they've had a
poor
rough
Buffalo.
week.
They have had a rough week, haven't they? So I was a little nervous about that, but hopefully by then everything will be maybe cleared away and people will be just dying to get out of their homes and come see some great shows. We're going to do 7 shows there in 5 days.
I saw that, yeah. You're doing the Christmas show up at Niagara Falls. Is that one of the Indian casinos up there?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it should be.
It's
supposed to be a fantastic room, and for me to be able to sing, Let It Snow, and What Are You Doing New Year's Eve, and Winter Wonderland, and all, and Please Come Home for Christmas, and so all of those fabulous songs. It's it's the most wonderful time of the year.
And you have I've seen several times. You have a great Christmas show in addition to the show you do the rest of the year. But the Christmas show is almost entirely different. It's a great Christmas presentation, kind of a tribute to the old TV days of Christmas specials, which you don't see anymore.
Yes, exactly. And one of the wonderful parts about the show, aside from the fact that I of course will sing True Love, the duet with Dad,
sure.
and have that beautiful montage, that beautiful video behind me, but I do that wonderful duet with Andy Williams.
Yep.
Of White Christmas, and his wife, Debbie, had sent us wonderful pictures, and we put together another fabulous video. Well, you saw that back at the Smith Center in Vegas, didn't you, a couple of years ago?
I did, sure, yeah.
Yes, and that's right when Andy had passed away, so it was kind of tough for me to get through that part of the show, but it's still tough for me to sing that song with him and see those pictures, but it's.
And he was still singing great. Up until through his illness. He was still performing.
Yes,
almost
he
was.
End, right? To the end, and he was. He was the most incredible human being, and for me, he was Mr. Christmas. When I think about, and you'd mentioned, the TV shows where we had the Dean Martin show and all those fabulous Christmas things, and then Andy Williams, who to me was Mr. Christmas. In fact, it's a cute story. My dad used to go to La Familia restaurant in Beverly Hills all the time. He would go every night, and he was sitting with my mom one night, and Andy Williams walked in, and so Jeannie kicked him under the table, says, "There's Andy Williams." And Dad looks up and he goes, "Hey, Christmas!" And Andy was very proud of that. He said, your dad used to call me Christmas. Hey, Christmas. Yeah.
There was about 5 or 6 traditions in Christmas time television. One, of course, your dad's special. Bob Hope had his with Silver Bells. Your dad with Marshmallow World. Perry Como had them as well, and of course Andy Williams and maybe a couple others. But those were the 4 or 5 that every year you had to at least see the Christmas special, and they always had those great traditional songs that they sang.
Yes, and when I hear Dad singing "Marshmallow World" now, it's so he he sounds so like Dean Martin when he's doing it. It's just so smooth, and it's a marshmallow world. It's just relaxed and so Dad. That's and I have heard from so many people, so many fans of Dad, and they come up after the show and they go, it's not Christmas until we hear "It's a Marshmallow World" by your dad. And,
That's right.
And I can't tell you how many people have told me that, and they say they still they tear up whenever they think about Dad singing "It's a Marshmallow World." But it is about all those one.
You would tape those in August, you told me at one time, when it was about 100
yes.
degrees in L.A.
That's right, down at NBC in Burbank, and and when you would walk into the set, and it was just beautiful. It looked like our home, big Christmas tree, and you're hearing the sleigh bells, and of course, Les Brown with the Band of Renown, and they're playing all the beautiful arrangements, and there's presents everywhere, and people were happy, and we're wearing coats and boots and fur. Well, I should say faux fur now, but it was just a wonderful time, great memories, and this time of the year when I'm putting together the show and putting the the dialogue and the patter in between my songs, I think back to those days and I remember Dad. We would get this huge Christmas tree, and he would get out the ladder and he would put all the lights on the tree and go around, and we'd all have to stand back, and he'd say, "All right, now kids, now stand way back in the living room and now squint." And so we'd squint. He said, "Now you can, when you squint and look at the Christmas tree, you can see where I don't have lights. So you have to point to me." And every year he would do the same thing. He'd say, "Okay, everybody go back in the back room, now squint. How'd I do?" We go, "It's perfect, Dad." And then we'd get to put all the bulbs on the tree. And I'll tell you, Christmas morning at the at the Martin household on Mountain Drive was incredible. 7 children.
Oh, yeah.
And imagine everybody got maybe 10 presents.
Yeah.
70 presents under a tree.
That's why your dad had to keep doing that show.
That's exactly right. And he did it so well.
Oh yeah, I've been watching some of them, some of the clips on YouTube, and there's some complete episodes now that you put out recently. And when you see the complete show, it's great to see the clips, but when you see the complete show from beginning to end, it really brings back the memories of just how that show flowed from beginning when he came out, either slid down the pole or came down those steps that looked like pianos and sang that opening number. It was just great.
Yeah, and they would just do the whole show, right through from beginning to end, and and Dad with no rehearsal. He knew his songs. He always knew what the songs were, but he just made it look so easy and effortless, and the charm of him was just divine. And of course, not all of the singers were very happy for that week because they had to rehearse with Lee Hale, not Dad.
Right.
But Lee Hale is unbelievable, and he's a dear friend of mine. He was the one who did all the special music, and he put in fact all of these roasts and the TV shows together. He's worked very closely with the Family Trust to put all of this together, and how they put together these big shows once a week is unbelievable to me. It really and truly is. They were like big Broadway shows, musical numbers and skits.
They really were. Yeah, some great. Like your dad would always, the singer would come on, do their number, and then your dad would always do a duet with them right away, and you don't see that any more duets on TV. You'd love to see that again, I guess, but I guess it's hard to do nowadays. But those duets were classics.
Oh, they were classics, and and I would know whenever he would come home, he would be smiling. I said, "All right, who was on the show today?" He'd say, "It was Lena Horne." He said, "I was doing this with Lena Horne." Yeah. Or he'd come on, he'd say, "It was Ella Fitzgerald," or he'd come, he'd say, "It was Harry Mills." He said, "Well, Louis Armstrong was here." So he was thrilled to be able to sing with his, with the people that he adored. So it was and now for me to watch the shows, I go, "Oh my gosh, look at the talent that was on the Dean Martin show." Everybody wanted to do that show.
Yeah, when you look back, you almost say, what happened to all the great showbiz talent of years gone by? It's just not the same anymore. But But the Mills Brothers. There's some great clips of your dad singing with them. And I guess a lot of people say that your dad kind of emulated Harry Mills more. I guess a lot of people thought he might have emulated more Bing Crosby, but Harry Mills was one of the guys too, right? Growing up.
That's exactly right. Of course, he loved Bing, but it was something about Harry Mills. There was just a beautiful style to him, and his phrasing was so perfect, to Dad, and what a thrill for him, and what a thrill for all of us in the family, of course, to see him so happy. And we still have all of these beautiful TV shows and roasts, and it's pretty exciting.
And those are available. I know the infomercial's been running again for the roast DVDs. So that's Time Life. Is that who putting them out?
Yes, it is. And
you get those?
It's priceless. And I'm looking here at this one I have right here, the Celebrity Roast, with Johnny Carson, Lucille Ball, Don Rickles, Jimmy Stewart, Bob Hope, and and Jack Benny, and I mean it's just phenomenal the people who were on the show with him. Milton Berle, Jonathan Winters, Bob Newhart, who is a dear, dear friend of ours. And we did a few shows together in
you worked with Bob down here in Sarasota a couple of years ago.
We did. Yes, we did. He is one of the funniest men I've ever met. And he's so down to earth and giving and funny and oh gosh, his sense of humor is amazing.
Yeah, we had him on the show during that gig, and talking to him was just like talking to somebody, your neighbor. He was very, very friendly, very, very easy to talk. Yeah.
Yeah. And and his stories. But I'll tell you, my dad got a kick out of working with him. When he did the bit on the show where my dad is the salesman and Bob Newhart comes in and he wants to return the hairpiece that his wife got for him. Oh my gosh, and it's under his hat. Oh, yeah, I mean, they're priceless, priceless bits, and I miss all of that. I miss TV like that now. Now we've got all these ridiculous reality shows.
Yeah, we won't get into that.
No, we won't get into that. No.
Garbage TV.
No, but we're out there doing the big shows,
That's it. I want to ask you a little bit about. We often talk about people that either your dad worked with or you worked with. I don't think we ever talked about. You mentioned them, Milton Berle, one of the great, of course, early television stars. What was he like to work with? I've heard stories about Milty that he could be a little difficult, but he delivered though, didn't he?
He delivered, and and the fun part is actually he sponsored me to get into the Friars Club.
Is that right?
And years. Yes, he did. Uncle Milty.
Yeah,
and
Uncle Milty.
He was funny, but I always see him in his trench coat, with that cigar.
Right.
But there was just something. He had timing. He had the most incredible timing, like Dad, and I'm sure they all grew up, with a certain, I can't even probably say it on TV, but I mean on the radio, but they were all, gosh, just magnificent at what they do.
We can edit it
out.
No,
it's it's okay. Well, first of all, you cannot go to one of the Friars Club's Friars roasts. Because it's like, oh my God, people can't say that. Can you say that out loud? It was. We did, but Uncle Milty was hysterical. But I was shocked when I went to the first Friars Club roast that I went to, and then a few years ago I roasted Jerry Lewis at the Friars Club.
That's right. Yeah.
And I must have sat there with my, jaw dropped. It was funny. And I sat next to Dennis Farina and, and Marty Scorsese. But those guys, but they are so funny.
I got some bootleg CDs that they put out a few years ago of some of those Friars roasts with Milty and those guys, and even though they get a little off color or dirty, but it was in a funny way. I mean, it wasn't mean.
That's right. It wasn't.
It was a little graphic, but it was still funny.
Oh yeah, I mean, so funny. And you sit there and it's just unbelievable when you're sitting there and you see all of these stars who are there, and they're all just being so funny, and and kidding each other and making fun of each other, and everybody was okay with it because they made it so funny, and you just sit there, tears coming out of your eyes. You're laughing so hard.
My uncle was a singer. He worked on the Milton Berle show a few times when it was, back in the 50s. And he said, Milton Berle was very strict. He wanted things done his way, but that show was live, and he was the guy in charge. He had to deliver every week. Imagine doing that show live every week for whatever he did it for 5 years.
Yeah.
Amazing what he really put television on the map. Variety
he
show.
really did. And for me, when he was married to Ruth Berle, and they would come over to the house all the time.
Right.
And Ruth was a very good friend of my mom's, and she was tough. She was a tough lady, but you had to be if you're married to Milton Berle. But it's great memories, and I can't imagine doing a show like that anymore either. That was so hard on him, but what a brilliant writer.
Oh yeah, funny guy. And he was still doing it up until the end. I saw him a few times down here in Florida. He was, I guess, pushing 90 then, and did an hour and a half on stage. Still the same kind of humor. It's still great. Yeah, so.
It's pretty remarkable. It is remarkable. But that's what keeps you going.
Oh, sure.
And the comedians, it's keeping your, learning new things, keeping your brain working, and getting up every day and making new goals for yourself and learning new things. So that's what keeps you young.
You mentioned Jerry Lewis before. I saw a clip not too long ago. I guess he's the abbot of the New York Friars now, and they named the building after him. So Jerry's still hanging in there.
Yes. And in fact, you know what? It's funny. I was going to have him come through. Well, sometimes I have a door, the secret door, the guest door on stage.
Right.
And he was going to come through the door, and I had asked him. I said, "Well, can you make it this time?" He said, "No." He said, "They're naming the room after me at the Friars Club in New York." I said, "Oh my God, I can't make it because I would have gone there for him. He could have come there for me, but he had to go." And so I was sorry that I missed it. I bet that was really quite an event, quite a day.
If he came through that door, Dean, at your show, you would have had to sit down for an hour. He wouldn't have let you back on.
I know. And he's I know. It's funny, and that you mentioned that because we did the Dennis Bono show, and it was Steve Lawrence, me, and Jerry Lewis with Dennis.
Yeah.
And it was and Jerry was he was fabulous. I mean, he was the 9-year-old boy.
Oh, yeah.
He was wild and crazy.
And didn't you do a show with him right after we saw you in Vegas a week or two later? Didn't you do that thing at the Smith Center with Jerry, right? Dennis, the 150th anniversary in Nevada?
How'd that go? Exactly right. Oh, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing, and Jerry was funny, but everybody who was on the show, and it was a beautiful tribute. And well, first of all, the Smith Center is a gorgeous facility.
Great room. Yeah.
Yes, it is, and it was. I tell you, Lorraine Hunt Bono, she put together a beautiful clip. So I mean, it was just. Ours was a special part of the show, and all of the entertainers who were on the show, they just, came together, and most everybody who lives in Vegas, and it was just, it was like old home week, and everybody just getting together and putting on a great show for a wonderful cause. So that was is it the 100th? Wait, 150th. Of Nevada, 150th. Yeah, anniversary, and I said, wow, pretty amazing. And
I wish I could have stayed out there another week or so. I would have liked to see that. I had to get back
here. Yes, you would have. Le Cirque came up and played. I mean, everybody was up there, and the Jersey Boys. I mean, it was really a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And a pleasure for me, and a thrill and an honor to be included in all of that.
Remembering the great Rat Pack days.
Lounge, and the lounge acts, and thinking of Louis and Keeley, and going to the Sahara, and all of those incredible lounge acts that really put Vegas on the map. With Dad. Not that they were in the lounge, but that's when Vegas became Vegas.
Shecky Green.
Oh my gosh!
I've never seen him in person. I'd love to do that. I've seen clips of him, but I guess he was the guy, wasn't he, in the lounge?
He was the guy. He was the guy, and I remember one time, and I was 17 years old, and my girlfriend and I went to Vegas. It was a treat for her because I had stayed at her house in Grosse Pointe. So she came to stay with us, and we took her to Las Vegas, and Dad and Uncle Frank took us out on the town one night. Now imagine, Doug, being 17-year-old or 18-year-old girls and having Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra as your chaperones. Well, we went to see Don Rickles, and that was too funny. Then we went to see Shecky Green, and we just felt so grown up. But I have really never seen my dad laugh so hard. And and literally tears were coming out. And the next day he said, "My stomach is killing me," he said, "from laughing so hard." And it was, Shecky
I've
Green.
just seen clips of him on some of the variety shows, and he just seemed to have that high energy, kind of rapid fire, but non sequitur, just kind of like off the cuff. He didn't really tell jokes, right? He just kind of made things up. It looked like.
He did, he had, of course, an idea of what he was doing, but he was just so funny, and he had been doing it for so long. He could just look at someone and a situation and think of things and just make it hysterical, and it was priceless. But those fabulous memories that I have of going to Las Vegas and going out with my dad and seeing these people and seeing Nat King Cole, quite something.
I'm looking forward to hopefully getting out to Vegas maybe in January. I want to see Bob Anderson show, a tribute to Frank. You know Bob pretty well, right? You worked with him?
Oh, of course. And, he's a dear friend, and he was at the 150th. He came out and he did a few numbers, and I tell you, we had a picture taken with him.
I saw that. I walked in. You posted that on Facebook. Yeah.
Yes, I watched. I said, "Oh my God, unbelievable!" There's some angles when the light is right, and you go, "Oh my God, it is Frank Sinatra."
Frank,
and he's such a good singer.
Frank, I guess 50 to 60-year-old Frank, but he's got that makeup down to where he looks just like him.
Yes, but could you imagine 3 hours of going through makeup?
I read that in an article. I guess it was originally 3, and then he said they got it where he can do it in 2 because he's going to do it every night.
It only takes 2 hours to get ready. Well, I take 2 hours to get ready every night, so it's about time some men see how it is to put on makeup and do all this stuff. But he's such a fantastic singer. But
I wanted to get out there and see Bob. Showing for listeners too, listening in. Bob, one of the great not only singers but singing impressionists. And if you ever seen him, he does everybody. Does your dad? Does Frank, Sammy, just about everybody. He's going to do just Frank, and Vinnie Falcone is going to be his director, so musical director.
That's exactly right. And you have not lived until you've seen Bob do Tom Jones.
I saw a clip.
But
he
won't be doing that at the. Is he at the Venetian? He's going to be at the Venetian.
I think it's Venetian, right?
Yeah, for like a year. It's amazing.
Year, so, but that's going to be great. I saw him do. I guess his best impression. He does all of them great. Tony Bennett. That's almost like a recording of Tony Bennett. You ever see him do that?
Yeah,
it's amazing.
I have seen him do that. Well, I took Bob to Dubai when we did a big show in Dubai a couple of years ago.
Oh, did you?
Yes, it did, and he just, they loved him there, and he came out and we did duets together, and it was quite spectacular. But imagine, being in Dubai with, we had the symphony orchestra, we had the Dubai. The strings, and we brought dancers in from England, so it was quite a show. But he put on a wonderful show, and I adore him. We love Bob.
Yeah, great talent. Well, before we run out of time, I do want to mention we mentioned the CD before, the Christmas CD. You can get Deana's Christmas album on her website, deanamartin.com, and the roast DVDs as well. You can find out about that as well. But I did want to mention real quick before we run out, you're going to Australia. That's going to be fun.
We're going to Australia, yes. So I'm looking forward to that. It's such we have lots of friends out there. It's going to be a grueling schedule. There's about 11 shows.
On your website. Yeah, that is a tough one. A lot of one-nighters.
A lot of one-nighters, and so I'm looking forward to it. But I know I'm going to be really tired when we get back. But it's all the packing and unpacking. But the thrill is being up on stage and singing these great songs and all the memories. So I'm looking forward to it in a good way. But I've just got to keep myself healthy and make sure people aren't trying to take us out after the show every night and
That's
not
the
get
thing.
enough
After
sleep.
the show, everybody wants to talk to you.
Yeah,
But I know somebody, you do a show, sometimes you don't want to talk to anybody for a while. Even,
Well, and, not to mention you want to try and save your voice, because talking is really, it's not the best thing for your voice at all. In fact, I have a vocal coach who says I shouldn't even talk the day of a show. I said, how am I going to do that? So I'm doing TV and radio, and I've got meet and greets and things. He says, well, just try not to talk too much when you're doing the show. I said, all right, we'll do our best.
Have you been to Australia before, Deana, or just as a
Well,
visitor,
we went to Australia. Well, we went to Australia a few years ago. I was doing the Crystal Cruise, and so we flew into Melbourne, and and I tell you have to be careful when you're walking across the street in a foreign land, because you're looking the wrong way when you're walking across the street. You can be hit by a car when. Yeah, it's I'll never forget. I won't do that again. But it was, the people were great there, but we didn't have any time. We were just there for, one day and onto the cruise ship, and that was really a lot of fun, the Crystal Cruise, and being able to entertain on that, and it was great. But I'm looking forward to
the show business, from what I hear.
It's an unbelievable gig. It's like one show on the way out and one on the way back, and you get to see all these great places. So it's really nice, and that's a beautiful cruise. So it's a top drawer ship, and the food
is that
I'm sorry.
Love Boat people? Is that the Love Boat?
No, the Crystal Cruise. I'm trying to think who are the Love Boat.
Well, that's Princess. Love Boat is
That's Princess, right? But the Crystal is just unbelievable, and actually, I think this was a world tour that they were doing. People were on the ship, on the cruise, who were on there for a year when they're going around the world. And I was just a week or so, up to Hong Kong, and then back, and then coming back. But that might be a nice thing to be on a cruise for a year, go around the world.
You can afford it. You don't have to work.
You can afford it, right?
You pay your bills at home. That's fine.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Well, that'll be
so we're looking forward.
In February, right? Middle of February, I think, for a couple of weeks.
Yes.
Come up. You got some gigs after that. We'll look forward to hopefully getting you down here in this part of the state. But you can see Deana on December 20th at the Fontainebleau over in Miami. It's not that far a ride for you folks here in Sarasota, Bradenton. Just head across I-75, and that'll be a fun show on the 20th. And Deana, always great to chat with you. I know we kept you on longer, but we could talk for hours when we do. And please give our best to John. I know he's going through a little health issue there, but we wish him well.
I will. He's doing great now. Go see him, but it's always fun to talk to you, and the time just flies. And you're so knowledgeable and so great, and a dear friend, and I appreciate all that you do. And keep this music going, Doug.
We're doing our best here.
I know you are.
Deana Martin's been our guest, and thanks for listening to